Forget the rumble in the jungle, it's the bubbles on the stubbles. As the pigeons make for the standing wheat, Andy and guests are shooting in isolation, intercepting them on the cut rape.
It's like black caviar to them.
Staying with shotgun shooting in its consumer survey time, what did 3,500 of you who responded to our survey tell us about shotgun cartridges? Who gives you the best bang for your buck and who is a damp squib? We reveal all. Copper Fox Stopper, Captain Non-Toxic Andrew Venables looks at a more frangible round he's been cooking up for varminting.
That's not a ricochet problem, that's litter.
Plus, Deadwood, Forestry and Land Scotland is horrifying wildlife managers by flattening a forest during the nesting season. Is it to make way for 8 wind turbines? We have news, we have hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Harvest means stubbles means pigeons. It's a special time in the pigeon shooter's calendar. Even though you may not be protecting the rape crop, as that's already gone, you are protecting standing crops next door. In Andy's case, it's the wheat, which he has tried to do something about, but it was hard graft. Today should be much easier.
I know we're shooting on stubbles and people say, oh, it's not crop protection, it's not crop protection. But the thing is, we've got 70 acres of wheat there. We've had 2,000 pigeons feeding on it. I had a little go last week shooting them, but I hate shooting them in standing wheat. It was hard work but good fun. I was just shooting one, coming down, dog was picking it. And where I was, it was a little bit thin. And all I did was just put a flapper just above the crop and they were just coming to it. And it was quite nice. I could have shot 300-400, no trouble at all. Every pigeon I shoot on here today, those pigeons aren't going to be feeding on my wheat over the next 2-3 weeks before I cut it. But we can pick every bird. That's the thing. I can shoot stuff 50-60 yards out, drop it and pick it, no trouble at all.
We both sometimes have that situation where we're watching social media and go, oh, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
What is it that people have got to make sure that they are doing if they're shooting on stubbles?
If I had wheat stubbles now and the pigeons on wheat stubbles, I'd leave them there. All the time they're on there, they're not doing me any harm. But there again, it's a time to get on top of the numbers. I'm a farmer, so it's in my best interest to shoot as many as I can today, and that's what I intend to do.
I mean, should we change the way we describe it? If someone says, I've just shot these on the stubbles.
You just got to say, the reason I've shot on this stubble because they're going to a bean field behind me, or I've shot them on this stubble because they're going to a standing wheat. You've got to justify why you're doing it. It's no good just putting on and saying, oh, I just shot 300 pigeons on a bit of wheat stubble. You've got to justify why you're shooting them on that wheat stubble, because you can't shoot them going to the standing wheat behind you. Or you can, but you'll never pick them. As simple as.
As Andy suggests, the volume of birds here is impressive. To help maximise his chances of reducing the numbers, he has placed friends and family across the farm in isolation bubbles, also known as pigeon hides. Rob and Jean Hales have brought him a present as last year he kept Rosa hydrated and not himself.
Thanks Jean, thanks Rob.
Now, one issue with shooting summer pigeons is with the dead birds going off in the heat, so it's best to plan ahead.
What you don't want to do, you don't want to stack them on top of each other. And it's a big no-no. Otherwise the bottom ones just heat up, cook, and then they start cooking. And they're not long before they're going green and it taints the meat and But no, it's just keep them spread out really. Keep them spread out so that the air can get between them, but keep them in the shade.
Would you even consider sort of bringing a sheet out or anything to put over them, stop the flies getting to them?
There is that. Mesh if anything, so that the air can still get to them. Put a sheet over top of them and the heat will be in there, it just condensate and they start to cook.
What about a hide net?
Yeah, could do, yeah. Some of these hide nets, like this one here, is mesh. The flies won't get through it, so that'd be ideal. Just put a net over the top of them. So, but out in the middle of the field, you don't get quite so many flies out here. I don't know why, but the flies don't seem to. Yeah, they're pigeons, mate.
Shoot one.
Okay.
That's what we're here to do.
I know that's what we're here to do.
It's not often Andy has a counter, but with 3 other active hides around the place, everyone is keen to find out how everyone else is doing.
Very simple sort of pattern you have.
Yeah, it is. I haven't got many birds out at the moment. I've got half dozen up on cradles. I've got auto bouncer, flapper, that's all I've got at the moment. I put a few more over that bank now, they tend to be going through that way a bit, just to try and pull them round. I haven't got a rotary going at the moment. I'm going to see how things go. I'll probably put a rotary up in a bit, maybe. I might just tuck that round the corner, just so it pulls them round to come to it. I might just do that later on when I get a few more birds. But I want to keep it as simple as possible, really.
The birds are here, but only showing a passing interest. They know that the rapeseed on the floor is germinating, and they want the wheat buffet instead. So, what are the Woodies' crop of the pops?
So if you're going to open a restaurant for pigeons,
Yeah.
what would be on the menu? Give me the sort of the favourite dishes that they'd go for. What was the first thing they'd go for?
Well, you've got oilseed rape. It's like black caviar to them. They love that. Then you move on to peas, beans. They go mental for soybeans. Tiny little things. They absolutely
So
love those.
pulses comes after.
Yeah, pulses comes after rape. Then you get onto your wheats and your barley, any of the cereals. And acorns is another one. Beech nuts is another one.
We were going to do pears last year, weren't we?
Yeah, they get on pears. Yeah, they love the fruits, especially in the winter. They tend to get on the pears a bit. Any that are dropped in that haven't been picked, they're crazy. I've had them with snails in their crops. I've had them with worms in their crops. They fill their crop twice a day when they're on wheat. You get 1,000, 2,000 pigeons on a field of wheat. They're not long making a bit of damage. That's why we need to shoot them how we're shooting them now.
Andy finishes the day with 240 birds. It's just about what he had expected. Collectively, the day was over 700 picked and heading to the game dealer. Thank you, Andy. Many of you will be out shooting over stubbles in coming weeks, I'm sure. And as we've talked about on this show, the game dealer may not be able to take all your birds. Andy says it's better to ask them before a good day than after a good day. Now, we'll be discussing shotgun cartridges later in the show. First of all, a man who's less shot shell, more shell suit. It's David on the Fieldsports channel, News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. A former mayor of York has welcomed the death of Jack Charlton because of the footballer's involvement in field sports. Charlton died aged 85 on the 10th of July 2020. Animal rights activist and Green Party councillor Dave Taylor posted on Facebook, "Jack Bloodsports Charlton is dead. Good." Insisting later that he didn't advocate being cruel to him. "I just don't think he should be lauded as some sort of hero." York Green Party says it will probe Taylor and apologise to Charlton's family and fans. Taylor also apologised, but tried to justify his comment by saying he's always hated Charlton's involvement in shooting and angling. The RSPB is clearing the way to call upon the UK government to licence or ban pheasant shooting. The bird rights group, which has long been campaigning against grouse shooting, insists it is neutral on pheasant shooting. However, in 2019, it announced a review of all kinds of shooting. It now reveals that 1% of its mainly urban membership is pro-shooting and 14% is anti-shooting. It's put out 3 documents designed to make it appear to be even-handed in its approach to shooting. There are download links in the description below. It plans to announce the results of the review of its policy in its AGM in October. Basque is launching a new legal fighting fund. Ring-fence reserves of more than £1 million will enable the association to push what it calls proactive legal initiatives to help secure the future of shooting. It will allow Basque to launch defences to disrupt legal challenges that could negatively impact the shooting community. Basque's approach mirrors while Justice moves to ban shooting, which it's been doing through crowdfunding to mount legal challenges against wildlife management and shooting sports.
We think a Basque with this fighting fund that we've announced today is a clear signal of our intent. It's there to help us fight cases that are ongoing, but also to be proactive and to look ahead and to have money to support us if we need to take action.
Where consultation and cooperation are willfully ignored, we will fight for shooting and the inextricable conservation benefits for as long as it takes.
A dog is recovering after being one of the latest victims of the increasing levels of dog theft in Ireland. A video posted on Facebook shows the bitch recovering during its first night back at home. The Facebook post does not say how it was returned. Anyone offered or buying a Springer pup in Ireland in the next few weeks is encouraged by the owner to contact them. Link in the description below. Meanwhile, Belfast City Council Animal Welfare Service recovered 4 4-week-old foxhound puppies at Belfast Harbour, 2 days after they were stolen. Thieves may have been attempting to smuggle them overseas. Thanks to Gemma Moore for the story. The appearance of a bearded vulture in Derbyshire is all the antis need to stir up negative feeling about shooting. Groups of shooters and birdwatchers were both delighted when the bird arrived in England from its normal haunts in mainland Europe. However, BBC News ran a story headlined "Fears for Bearded Vulture Spotted in the Peak District" after a local animal rights campaigner said the bird would probably be shot by gamekeepers. As one shooter observed, "It has barely landed and we are being accused of killing it." Pine martins are on their way back to Gloucestershire. The local wildlife trust reintroduced 19 of them in 2018 in the Forest of Dean and hopes the population will grow to 60. However, they are voracious killers of other wildlife and can only be controlled under licence. Gamekeepers are worried that Natural England will refuse to licence the control of pine martins as the population increases. Animal rights extremists have dyed the waters of the famous fountains of Trafalgar Square in London bright red. Their action was in protest against factory farming, which the group Animal Rebellion says cause pandemics. Police arrested 2 people. A raccoon dog has been trapped and destroyed in Wales. The Asian predator kept as pets is thought to be one of 2 that escaped in Carmarthenshire in August last year. Natural Resources Wales urges local residents not to approach raccoon dogs. This image shows one of a pair of escaped raccoon dogs recaptured by police in Nottinghamshire in 2019. The Norwegian government is to pay hunters to shoot wild boar. The Norwegian Food Safety Authority pays up to £200 as a fee to hunters who submit samples of boar. This scheme is designed to track boar disease as well as boar populations and is one of the government's measures in its action plan against wild boar. It's asking for the tail tip and the vulva from the shot boar. Thanks to Per Holmseth for the story. The Tar Foundation has struck a blow against New Zealand's policy of tar annihilation. New Zealand's High Court ruled against the Department of Conservation's control plan, which aimed to begin the process of wiping out the species. Tar is an alien species in New Zealand, but it is the basis for much hunting tourism in the South Island. The court requires the DOC to reconsider its plan after consulting with the Tar Foundation and other stakeholders. The US Marine Corps is teaching its soldiers bow hunting. The Chief Game Warden at Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton in California is leading the scheme. He says bow hunting teaches the soldiers focus, as well as what leads up to and after the harvest of an animal. And finally, a rare appearance of a swordfish off a popular beach near Edinburgh has the media north of the border buzzing. The fisherman who offered a reward for information helping him to catch it was called a trophy hunter by local news website Edinburgh Live, which posted this footage of the fish. Meanwhile, people on the Portobello Promenade at the weekend said they would be happy to catch a glimpse of the creature, which didn't surface, but even happier, eating it. Swordfish is sold in several Edinburgh restaurants.
The idea that there's one swordfish out in all this bay swimming around, and you might see like a sword sticking out of the water suddenly. It's very cool. I'm from Greece, and swordfish is a delicacy. It's quite tasty. Swordfish fillet is the typical meal, if you want. Not everyone likes it, but it is good.
You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stuck in the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. Lots more news on our website, where you can also sign up for our forthcoming video, How to Deal with Antis, at 6 p.m. on the 23rd of July. It's a live webinar with a panel of experts, including former Metropolitan Police Officer Ian Jensen, who used to deal with animal rights extremists. We have legal advice from Barrister Peter Glenser, and we have Polly Portwin, who faces the saboteurs who hit hunting, one of the toughest groups of saboteurs in the country in Warwickshire. And we have Ollie Williams from TV's Love Island, who had to have police protection at his home after animal rights extremists wanted to kill him. So a wealth of good advice there. Sign up details on the website. As I say, it's £10 a ticket unless you're a member or a shareholder, in which case it's free. And so why not become one? Now we have cartridges. We asked a lot of you about what you choose to shoot. Here are the runners, the riders, and the results. As you know, we surveyed you for shooting kit in March 2020 and 3,500 of you told us what you use. This week we reveal the results of our shotgun cartridge survey. We split the world of cartridges into 3: game shooters, clay shooters and pigeon shooters. Between 500 and 700 of you responded on each survey, and there are some clear winners. Let's start with clays. We asked you to give us a star rating for your favourite cartridge's killability, its reliability and its value for money. Winner for killability and reliability is the Game Bore Black Gold. Winner for value for money is the Winchester AA. How about the overall winner? Most popular clay cartridge of 2020 among Fieldsports channel viewers is the Game Bore White Gold. Overall, Game Bore has more than a quarter of the clay cartridge market among our viewers, with Ely Hawk in second place with 21% and Hull Cartridge third with 16%. Game shooters are less price sensitive. Game Bore Pigeon Extreme gets your vote for pheasant and grouse killability. Game Bore Dark Storm is top cartridge for reliability, and the winner for value for money is the Hull Cartridge 3 Crowns. So what's the most popular game cartridge overall? It is the Game Bore Black Gold. Among our viewers, Game Bore has nearly 40% of the game shooting market, with Ely Hawk a long way in second place with 17%. Also, if you want a clue just how hard it's going to be for the shooting organisations to get game shooters to turn away from lead, the only non-lead cartridge to make it onto the top 20 is the Game Bore Super Steel, right down at the bottom. Just 9% of viewers shoot steel, bismuth or heavy shot as a first choice, and a quarter of those are exclusively wildfowlers. The shooting organisations have to change the minds of the rest and get the cartridge companies to come up with an alternative to plastic wads. It's a hill to climb. Finally, pigeon shooting, where one cartridge reigns supreme. Before we come to that, the top shot shell for killability is the Game Bore Black Gold. Favourite cartridge for reliability is the Hull Cartridge High Pheasant, and not the cheapest but the value for money choice is the Game Bore Velocity, according to our viewers. Once again, it's Game Bore, Game Bore, Game Bore, which has 45% of the pigeon cartridge market. And the winner, a cartridge with a quarter of the market all by itself. The Game Bore Clear Pigeon is your top pick for pigeons in 2020. Thank you to all who took part in that, and we've got plenty more information to come, and it's really making waves in the shooting industry. I'm very pleased about that. Next up, Forestry and Land Scotland is busy flattening forests. Is that the right thing to do during the nesting season?
It was about 6 weeks ago that I was driving up the back, I could hear the machine, so I drove across, and that's when I noticed all the trees getting cut down. I'm saying to myself, look now, there's birds of prey nesting in there. How are they getting away with this?
Stephen Mullins has lived in Hart Hill, North Lanarkshire all his life. He shoots and used to keep Harris hawks. He cares about the local wildlife and scenery, but it seems to be disappearing before his eyes.
Got a lot of skylarks, got a lot of reed buttons. These fields used to be alive up here. Beautiful birds, lapwings, curlews. Everything's all gone. It's all gone. There's not even a rabbit. So you buy a bird of prey, you fly it around a bit here. The only thing it's going to catch is the cold.
This area belongs to Forestry and Land Scotland. Between April and June, which includes bird nesting season, it began an operation to retain the production of a sustainable timber crop for local and national markets, according to the Benhar Faldhouse land management plan approved in 2018. That includes chopping down thousands of trees in this area, despite nesting season and the coronavirus lockdown. Under its own rules, all FLS has to do is carry out an environmental survey before it clear fells forestry. There are no restrictions on time of year. Incredibly, it insists it only found one vacant sparrowhawk nest in the area targeted for destruction. A former FLS worker says that might be true, but Mullins, who lives a few hundred metres away, says there's a lot more.
Yeah, sparrowhawks, definitely. Buzzards, and I'm sure there's goshawks. I'm sure there's goshawks up there, but they're like hens teeth, try to see them.
Kestrels and buzzards were hovering around while I was there. Part of the management plan includes putting up wind turbines on a site next to the clearfell. The wind farm is managed by EDF. Wind turbines are a danger for raptors, bats and migrating birds. There are already several in the area and they're not popular with locals.
Bloody eyesore. Absolute eyesore. You've seen yourself the amount that are just up round about here. That's the flight path for woodcock. And the bald name.
The wind industry will tell you that cats and kitchen windows and all that kill lots and lots of birds, which is true. But these tend to be small garden birds, blackbirds, robins, sparrows, all that kind of thing. They're domestic birds. But what they never mention, what wind turbines kill are large raptors, endangered species, golden eagles, all that kind of thing.
You don't hear Chris Packham greeting about that, do you? You'd rather go after a grouse mower that look after things instead of wind farms that are actually killing birds.
The Tasmanian wedge-tailed eagle is at the point of extinction due to wind farms. The Spanish figures are 330 birds per turbine per year. Germany, 309 birds per turbine per year. Sweden, 895 birds per turbine per year. And I'm just wondering when the wind industry in this country will tell us the appalling truth, There are various devices that the wind industry uses to cover up the bird kill numbers. It's one of the tricks they use. The wind turbine has got gigantic blades which can be as long as a football field. Now what the developers do is they count the bird, they take the vertical line from the end of those blades to the ground. But 90% of the birds are catapulted by the blades themselves as they twiddle around. And they flick these birds outside that perimeter area.
Back in Harthill, there's another problem. The tree felling has destroyed the habitat for local roe deer.
And the amount of deer that are getting pushed into the village, next minute it'll be down on the main road. My family dies hitting a deer. Oh, oops.
In a statement to Fieldsports News, FLS said its environment team made a full survey of the site ahead of work starting to check for the presence of any nesting birds, badger, squirrel or other protected species activity. It says nothing about how it will affect humans.
Thank you, News Editor Ben. Now, when firearms expert and Archbishop of the Church of Copper, Andrew Venables, recently visited Tim Pilbeam to talk about copper deer rounds, he also talked about copper varminting rounds.
Okay, so we've done some interesting work with the copper bullets, which are designed to retain weight and do a very good job of helping us harvest our meat and get it to the market without any of the issues that it having lead in it will be having more so in the future. But a lot of you out there are going, well, I use my tool 4.3 or whatever for varmint control, and I don't want to shoot a fox with a bullet designed to shoot a red deer. You're absolutely right, you don't want to do that. What is there for you? Earlier on we looked at some bullets which were made of sintered copper and tin powder compressed together. This is I've reloaded these because I can't find them loaded in the UK, but I'm not being paid by Barnes, it's just what I happen to have. This is the Barnes Varmint Grenade, okay? So it's somewhat dramatic naming. It's an American product with American marketing, and we wish America well. So what we have here is a copper jacket, and inside we have a compressed powder metal which doesn't have its own homogeneous state. It's basically been pushed together, and when it hits something, it all flies apart. So we're going to have a crack at one of the 5-litre containers down there. My prediction is that this should be entirely retained in the container, and we shouldn't see any substantial exit from the container. Now, when you're shooting a fox, that's what you want. A lot of you are on flinty ground or flat fields in Lincolnshire. You want to be able to manage foxes and know that if the bullet hits the ground, there's every chance it's going to break up. Never assume that though. Please, even with varmint ammunition, don't assume it won't break up. You still need some sort of backstop. You need a plan. But here we go. Let's see what these do. We'll go live on the cam. All clear. Okay, so let's see what's happened. We obviously have a fairly violent explosion, the ripping effect, and what we saw on all the others was a hole here, and we got a bit of a hole there. You can see the overall energy dump is both sides on this one. So I suspect that the back of the round has come through. Unfortunately, this emptied out to such a degree. I can see some impacts on the inside where some of the bullet fragments have actually hit. We've got the back of the bullet. It's quite interesting. Whilst we have an exit on the back, slightly funny angle thing, that is all that's left of the round. So we started off here with this, and the most substantial part of the bullet we can find after shooting a single can is that. That is all that's left. This has been designed for your average fox, gopher, coyote, that kind of thing. They use them in America where the fur of the animals is still valuable, because if you shoot a coyote with one of these, you don't get an exit wound, so you don't get the damage to the fur-bearing animals. So this is what they said it would do, and I'm really pleased to be able to demonstrate that this is what it's done. Fit for purpose, varmint shooting without lead.
Thank you, Andrew. And he hasn't finished on copper yet. There'll be more from Andrew on our Fieldtester channel, where he tests them at 100 metres, 250 metres and on deer. Next up, more PB than CU. It is Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. First up, it's been a slog. It's been a trial. It's been, well, they've done it. The South Somerset Ferreters have made it to 1,000 subscribers. Here is one of their latest films. Rich Hunting in the Netherlands is out after greylag and Canada geese with his Labrador Bobby, out for his first big goose day. One of our supporters, Richard Taylor, has uploaded a series of shot cam pigeon shooting films to YouTube, including this one, which lands in his face. Kiwi Adventure Time is pig hunting in New Zealand, calling this one When It Goes Wrong But Right at the Same Time. They head out after the rain in search of a wild pig, and it's not long before they bump into a couple. Chileans are nuts about airgun hunting. Vacuno Hunter specialises in shooting partridges in the Andes, yeah, and in the headies and the bodies. Dallas Safari Club continues its good work, putting out film after film showing how hunting ranches and concessions in southern Africa are keeping Africa's wildlife going. This film features the remarkably named Teeny Cock from Mbalabala Safaris, who says big game hunting is all about showing off. Back to that story about a swordfish near Edinburgh. If you are in any doubt about the popularity of billfish angling, this film from Australia 2 years ago has had 22 million views. And finally, South African Robbie Kruger from Blood Origins, a channel dedicated to spreading the word about hunting, invites British TV comic Ricky Gervais to go hunting to see what it's like. Good luck with that. That's it for this week. I've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Well, that is it for this week. If you haven't done so, please whiz over to our website where you can click to like us on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and pop your email address into our register page, which somebody told me last week isn't working. Well, it is working now, so you can do that if you tried recently. Thank you, please try again. We will contact you about the show. It's Fieldsports Britain at 7 PM UK time every Wednesday with our weekly newsletter, and I will see you next week. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.